Oh my god, I don't even know how to start this video. How the fuck do you react to all of that? I feel like I'd be lying if I came out here like, what's up guys, it's Matty here, all excited and stuff, because I'm not that. I'm anything but excited right now. And imagine my even more extreme disappointment when I thought I recorded this whole video and then I found out my microphone was off the whole time. Wow! You can't even see, I have this paper crumbled up because I thought I was done with it. But anyway, each year now, I like to grade Bethesda's E3 conference. In 2016, I thought they played a little bit safe, but overall, did a good job. It's a tough act to follow with E3 2015 from Bethesda Game Studios and Fallout 4, but I thought E3 2016 got the job done and that it was easy to beat in 2017, and it turns out they took like 40 steps backwards. So today we're going to be going through everything Bethesda showed off at their E3 showcase. And I mean, nothing gets a show rolling quite like the hot topic of VR. Now VR is pretty cool, I've tested it out myself, and Bethesda showed off Fallout 4 and Doom VR, and they both look cool from a gameplay standpoint. You didn't see really any graphical sacrifices, you saw the character running around the open world of Fallout 4. It was actually pretty impressive on the technical side of things, but I don't think VR has shipped enough units, has become enough of a mainstream device where gamers are really interested heavily in VR. And when you see that new VR title, you get pumped for it, especially at an E3 conference. And we'll talk more about the element of surprise and how Bethesda epically failed on that front. But yeah, Doom and Fallout 4 VR, I don't really have complaints from what I saw, but was it enough to get me out of my seat, started for the show? No, but for my friends and I, we chalked it up as, okay, it's the beginning of the show, they're gonna kind of get the bullshit out of the way and get into the strong stuff later on. And so the BS continued with Elder Scrolls Online. And I say that as someone who has played Elder Scrolls Online. I think it's a pretty good game, and they were promoting the hell out of Elder Scrolls Online Morrowind. I thought maybe an unnecessary amount, although the trailer itself was, I think, 3 or 4 minutes long with all the gameplay, and they showed YouTubers reacting to it and stuff. I thought to myself, it was just a little bit too long, especially when you consider now the fact that the conference was almost, I think, 38 minutes long. So those 4 minutes, that's precious right there. But yeah, they were pimping the Elder Scrolls Online Morrowind DLC. For me personally, I reviewed it as a nostalgia for better and worse kind of situation where it helps benefit the product in the nostalgia bait, but it also kind of ruins it because it heavily leans on it. And then Bethesda stepped in some serious caca and they announced Creation Club. Now I think there's been a bit of a misunderstanding about it, but Bethesda did a horrible job explaining this and providing any information for it. I've been doing some research on it. I want to wait for some more answers from Bethesda on it before I make a full video on it, but right now my short thoughts on this are that according to Bethesda's site, this isn't going to be paid mods. They say that mods are still going to remain free in the same system they do have on Bethesda.net, but that Creation Club serves as this platform for Bethesda to receive original and new ideas from modders and freelance developers and create new add-on content for Fallout 4 and Skyrim Special Edition and then proceed to sell them to you. So really it is a mod, except it's got the in-house development and polish from Bethesda Game Studios. I can already hear all the polish jokes coming in now. So the goal of this system is to provide more official content to Fallout 4 and Skyrim, and they heard our request. Yes, we want that. Not just through mods, but we want more Bethesda Game Studios content. Big thumbs up for me. I want more content from them. Did I want it this way though? It's not really how I planned it, because now we're back to square one with the whole paid mod situation, and it just looks like paid mods with a camouflage at the end of the day, because these external developers, a lot of them are members of the community, aka modders. And it's not like they make the mod and then Bethesda says, okay, we're gonna put a price tag on that, but more so they pitch the idea to Bethesda and then they develop it in-house with them, alongside them. So more official content, cool, but at the sacrifice of modding the community itself, it's just not worth it. And people are mad, and Bethesda should have expected this. They should have been more clear, more concise, not just a quick trailer and move on. Really get out there and explain this. I mean, this is something that people got fucking furious over, and you brought it back in a way. I see kind of what they're going for here, but once again, we don't have enough information to go off of, and that's bad. That's very bad. I'm not totally gonna kick this system to the side because, like I said, we have requested more official content from these games. But on the other hand, we have to consider Bethesda has lots of money. They have lots of developers. Bethesda Game Studios specifically is expanding. So my question here is, why don't you take those stacks of cash from either Skyrim or Fallout 4, any games you've ever made, and hire some new developers who solely work on these projects and continue providing life to them. And this is not me taking away from the modders out there, of course, but I'm more so saying that there's just so many other ways they could have tackled this that I can't help but view it in a way where Bethesda just wanted to take some money from the modding situation. And if that hot streak wasn't enough for you, it gets better. Elder Scrolls Legends shows up next and gets its own expansion called Heroes of Skyrim. Once again, I'm sure it's kind of like ESO, where Elder Scrolls Legends has its own little fervent fan base. That's cool, I respect that, but this is E3. Sure, we can show the little minor titles. We've seen tons of indie games show up here and be highly adored by gamers, but this isn't that case, especially when your conference is short and overall weak and you've come out with a bunch of weak titles and they're just rolling trailer after trailer after trailer, and the next thing that shows up after all of that crap is a Skyrim focused expansion for ESO Legends. I just can't help but shake my head at it. It's like, why did they bother coming to E3? None of these titles scream E3 reveal to me, especially when we already knew about Fallout 4 VR, we already knew about the ESO expansion, we already knew that Legends was getting something new, and then the old news returns again with the next thing they show, which was Skyrim on the Switch. We knew this was coming since the reveal of the Switch. We knew it was coming in fall because Bethesda told us, and now they show a new trailer, and one thing did get me hyped. It was the little amiibo thing where you saw the Master Sword and Link's clothing take over the Dovahkiin. Fucking awesome. That got me hyped. I bugged out over that. I don't own amiibos either, but that's something that would actually make me go out and buy amiibos, so I hope I can get like Samus Aran's armor on my character and stuff. I know it's really lore breaking and I'm sure people are bugging out over it, but I think it would be a fun little gimmick if anything. And also, on the other hand, with all these old news being reintroduced, Skyrim is something that has been resold so many times in different forms and factors, whether it was that edition with all the DLC, then special edition, the original launch, all this type of stuff. Fortunately, after that point in time, in my opinion, the bullshit came to a stop, and we started off with Dishonored Death of the Outsider, which is an expansion for Dishonored 2. It's coming out in September. It looks awesome. You play as Megan Foster. She's a character you meet in the main story. She plays a heavy role in there. She seems to have a really intriguing backstory that you just want to learn more about, and so that's what this expansion is going to do. But once again, the element of surprise plays in. We saw this coming. I mean, Dishonored 2 came out. It had a pretty rough launch, but people were still into the game. We had a new game plus added. We also had new difficulty settings. Lots of different tweaks and patches were added. The PC version was fixed, and then it went quiet, and we knew that they were doing DLC for the game, so we knew E3 there would be a reveal, and that's what we got here. We got a brand new expansion, which was exciting though. It did look cool. I'm very much interested to hear Megan Foster's story. You see Dowd again somehow, but this was the start of when I thought, okay, things are getting good. Okay, this is something new. This is fresh. This is exciting. This is what I expected from Bethesda. But at that point in time, I want to say we were like 20-ish minutes in or something along those lines. So while yes, that would in most E3 conferences be pretty early on, okay, 20 minutes of bullshit, whatever, it turns out Bethesda's show was a little bit past halfway over at that point. And then the unthinkable happened. My joke video idea actually to some extent came true, and I'm not saying that Bethesda saw the video and was like, we gotta do this, man. No, not what I'm getting at all. But then Quake Champions gets a new trailer, and we see BJ Blazkowicz from Wolfenstein is going to be in the game, and me and Never were watching this E3 conference together with a bunch of my friends. We have reactions recorded. I'll be uploading on the channel sometime this week, but we were watching this like, oh my god, did they really just do this? When we were just talking about how wild it would be if we saw Bethesda games crossing over, how stupid would that be? It's such an idiotic idea. Everyone in the comments was like, fuck that, they'd never do that. And then it kind of happened, and I was like, on a more serious note, Quake Champions looks like a really good time. I played it at PAX East this year. I had a lot of fun with it. It was really fast-paced, action-packed, gory, exciting, enthralling, all those cool little buzzwords, but really, it was just a good time. I'm looking forward to playing it. I hope my console buddies are able to get that game going because I can see things getting really competitive there, and I think they should spread to the consoles because they said something about esports during the conference and how they want to get people involved with Quake Champions and esports. So the more players, the better, right? And then Bethesda closed out the show with two of their juggernauts, one of them being The Evil Within 2. Now, I loved the first Evil Within. I'm a big fan of survival horror titles, and The Evil Within was one I thought was pretty damn good. The story was, albeit very confusing, but I thought if you paid attention, you'd understand it more, even though you might spend like the first 8 hours not knowing what the fuck's going on. But still, I enjoyed it because the gameplay really made up for it, that constant survival aspect, making sure every shot counts. I'm a sucker for that stuff. I liked it, and I thought The Evil Within did did it really well. Shinji Mikami is an awesome game designer, so seeing his work is always exciting, and this trailer was really trippy. They were going for a lot of psychological stuff with these trailers, I felt, and this one in particular had a really deep family theme, it felt like, but it almost seemed like Sebastian was trapped in his own head, constantly looping through certain stuff, and it was just really intriguing. It definitely got me invested in the game, but the issue here is that this is going to definitely rely on The Evil Within 1. Naturally, it's a sequel, that makes sense, even more so. I don't think newcomers are going to be able just to hop into The Evil Within 2, so if you're curious, please play the first one, and I do hope Bethesda does what they did with Dishonored 2, where if you pre-ordered Dishonored 2, you'd get Definitive Edition as well. I think that was really good for newcomers of the franchise, and I think Bethesda should make a trend of that with their games, especially The Evil Within, and please Bethesda, have it come with all its DLC. For some reason, you finished The Evil Within off with its DLC. That was my one gripe with the game. That pissed me off, and so if the developers of The Evil Within 2, Tango Gameworks, are for some reason watching some random video of mine, please make sure that you don't finish the game story through DLC. I beg of you. And then the final game to close off the show was Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, and this game had a surprising amount of charm, and it was pretty funny, the demo they showed. The characters had a lot of personality, so I can already see the writing and the story has a good chance of being intriguing and getting me invested, and the gameplay itself, gore fest, just popping heads off left and right, really awesome looking stuff. I'm excited for both these games, especially because they're both releasing this October, 4 months from now, and that's one thing I do have to commend Bethesda on. What they showed in this conference, we are getting this year. Now, for me personally, there was really only 4 things from the conference that had me intrigued. 2 of them I really highly give a shit about, and those were The Evil Within 2 and Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus. And to wrap up my final thoughts on this conference, I just have to say that this seemed like an unnecessary conference. That's really the vibe I got from this. They clearly didn't have enough to show. It felt like an EA conference where you just had little minor things and they were acting like they were big deals. I mean, ESO DLC, slight VR showcases, just very minimal stuff that is cool to show off briefly in a bigger press conference. But when we got something here that's a 38-minute press conference and you got all this little crap here, you're acting like it's big stuff to show off when it's really not, and then it ends off on a note where I'm not trying to attack him, but P-Hines comes out pretty flat as if the show's not done yet, says, yeah guys, this is all coming out this year, hope you had a good time, and I'm thinking he's gonna drop the, oh wait, and we have one more thing to show you, and he didn't. And so that was really the most disappointing part, is because it also felt like Bethesda didn't have a grip on what made their first ever E3 special, which was the element of surprise. That first E3 conference where we were like, okay, holy crap, they're actually doing E3. Oh my god, they're doing Fallout 4 there too? That's insanity. And it drives me nuts. It's like a stereotype. E3 is made for the big reveals, the big surprises. And I'm not just talking about Starfield here. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm saying though that anything, just that wait one more. But it felt short. It just felt unfinished. It felt disappointing. I was stunned when it was over. Like I said, you guys will see my live reaction as I'm watching this in a couple of days when I upload it on the channel. I was blown away that it was actually fucking over when it was. Some people may like that short and sweet approach. And I'm not saying that I wanted all the PR crap that comes with all the presentations where like, we're bringing innovative gameplay to a next level and all that typical E3 shit we usually see. They just said, okay, roll the trailers. That's it. But for me, it felt like E3 this year for Bethesda was an afterthought, and they almost knew it with the way they presented themselves, where there was only Pete Hines on the stage twice throughout the entire show to come out, introduce it, and wrap it up. And speaking of wrapping it up, that'll do it for me in this video. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Bethesda's E3 2017 conference in the comments down below. I can already predict how this is gonna go. I'm sure everyone's a little salty. Please be kind to each other, please. I don't want to see so much bullshit arguing in my comments. I beg of you. Follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook, those links are in the description down below, as well as my Patreon. Do consider supporting that as it fuels all the content we create here. Other than that, stay sexy, stay active, I love you all. Peace.